Yo, what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be reacting to Hulksden's recent video, which is covering apparently some drama that I didn't think really was drama, but apparently it is to some people, and he touches on this for NANK BDO and then him and Chisgule, and it was an interesting listen, I'll just say that. I did watch the thing all the way through. I got some timestamps we're going to focus on. Let's get into the intro. And as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot.
What is going on, warriors and farmers of Tamaris? Welcome to Drama Time in Call of Dragons. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the BDO betrayal meta that you guys have been hearing for a very long time. This video is going to expose some of the hypocritical ways of BDO of the past. Nobody has been able to call them out for some of the dirty things that they have done in this game. I'm also going to be responding to some comments that Chisgule made about me. Apparently, he is claiming that I come from a group of betrayers. I'm going to be addressing that comment towards the end of the video. Now, the video is going to be divided into a bunch of different chapters. I suggest you watch most of them to get...
Okay, we're going to end up going to the first timestamp, which is going to be 2:30, that we're going to focus on here. Where am I at 2:30? We'll go, boom, here we go.
Don't know anything about any betrayal from BDO. Yet every single time, BDO is calling us the Betrayal Alliance in Call of Dragons, which is not cool. So let us talk about this Nova Avengers Alliance. This alliance was created...
Okay, now the reason I made to show some short clips here is because, one, as I said, I've watched the thing all the way through. I think the most important thing here that I want to be very clear on that feels is missed throughout the entirety of the video is showing either testimony via screenshots, recordings, or text replies from people that were involved in the beginning, because this kind of goes more into, he touches on Home Kingdom and then a couple KVK mentions of situations with BDO. But I really would have loved for him to start off by actually showing something or anything that speaks to BDO calling them betrayers, and or really anything that kind of speaks to the source. And there really wasn't any sources that were shown, and I really wish that would have been the case, because it would have allowed for Hulks and or anyone to at least see something and build off of that. And because it wasn't shown at any point throughout the video, to me, and respectfully, you kind of lose me already in the beginning. But let's go ahead and continue. So the next one we're going to look at, I think, is 2:45. This is coming up.
It is 3 seasons ago. It was a merge between TA and NK. Now, TA is the oldest alliance in Call of Dragons, which started out in the beta. I have been playing with TA for a very long time. We have had no records of any betrayal.
Okay, so I have to make a correction here, because this is technically inaccurate. So, TA is not actually the oldest alliance in the game. The oldest alliance in the game would actually be King. And you can see that if we go all the way here. Now, keep in mind, there's a number of alliances that played in Kingdom 1. TA technically was formed in Kingdom 2, but they were not TA initially. They were formed TA a little about halfway through the season, or maybe the beginning third of the season, if you will. And so they didn't actually come into play until, again, Kingdom 2 was released. So technically, the oldest alliances would be these ones here that are in Kingdom 1. And the top alliance at the time in Kingdom 1 was King. That is where Ghost was, right? So he was the lead of King, and there might have been some others, but I just remember seeing him as the R5 at the time. Just wanted to set the record straight correctly there. Very small and minor, but I felt was important just to amend, if you will.
I've had no record of ever teaming up with B.
So we're going to go to 315.
100 strong players from NK to create NA. Now, in our first seasons, we were defeated by a diplomacy meta between GG and Noir. GG and Noir teamed up together. They were a total of 30 billion power. They beat us Nova Avengers, who was only 16 billion power. For the majority of that season, we had to fight GG and Noir in a 2v1 handicap situation. 16 billion versus 30 billion power. Not a good matchmaking. Towards the end of that KVK, we got some help from...
Okay, so to pause here, it just would have been nice if there was some screenshot on the alliances that were in that KVK, maybe a reference to what their powers were. Again, I probably have it documented on one of my sheets. I just haven't gotten to take a look yet. But it just would have been nice for something to be provided here that just spoke to the total power in that KVK and then what the sides were. And I'm not saying this in regards to the people who were involved in that KVK. No, I'm talking about for the average viewer, right? Being able to provide these reference pieces or supportive pieces of material can really help in allowing for the viewer to follow along. So, okay, next thing I want to listen to is going to be at 420. I did not do that on purpose. Here we go.
Recollection of ever teaming up with BDO. We don't know anything about BDO. We don't know them. Most of the NK players that we have left in this alliance also don't know anything about BDO because they were recruited recently into NK. They have never had any relations with BDO. Now to get this over here, NK was believed.
So I think the part there for me on him saying that NA doesn't know anything about BDO, there's, we don't know them. I understand that it's almost kind of like trying to attach it from the other perspective or the other side of doubling down on this idea that, why, from, again, what he's saying, why is BDO calling them betrayers and or attaching people that might be with them from NK or any previous experiences for members that were maybe a part of other alliances that are now a part of NA, and what does that exactly, how does that translate to them then being called betrayers, and trying to say, well, we don't know anything about them, why are they doing this, which is just kind of attacking it from the other side, or defending it from the other side, if you will. Again, I just wish a little bit more context was provided here, because parts of this, and I understand that, again, I'm kind of clipping this out based on me watching the whole thing, because it is very long, but if you do watch the whole thing, you will probably see this for yourself, which is like, it just felt like a little bit more could have been added here to kind of connect a little bit more storyline. Okay, the next one I want to go to is going to be at 508. And this one, we'll go to 504 here to start that.
Here. But somehow BDO keeps leveling Nova Avengers, the Betrayal Alliance. They don't ally with us in any KVK. We don't know them. We have never met them. We have never betrayed anybody. This alliance was created 3 seasons ago. So,
okay, so here, right, you hear it again. However, the thing that I want to really point out here is that who is saying what about NK, or NA in this case, right? This would have been a great opportunity for Hulks to collect some screenshots. Again, if people were saying something in Gen Chat, if it was actual BDO members, did he get some DMs? Did people say something in World Chat on the BDO Kingdom in Tamaris? Whatever it may have been. Show something, right? That would have been really important, because up to this point, because nothing has been shown, and you have to assume that the average viewer is not going to go and do a wealth of research and investigation on their own, it just comes across as speculation at the moment. And that's only because nothing has been shown. There's a little bit more credence you can give to what he's saying if he's showing some kind of supportive material, but none of that has been shown yet. And also, I should add, none of that was shown throughout the video when I'm talking about multiple people, even in just 2 or more players in BDO that were making those particular and specific claims. Okay, next.
What BDO is trying to say is that any alliance that recruits players from NK should be called a betrayal alliance. If that is the case, then GG should also be called a betrayal alliance, because GG right now has, I think, more than 10 NK players who joined them. Why isn't BDO calling GG a betrayal alliance? Noir also recruited some of the NK players. And why isn't BDO not calling Noir a betrayal alliance? So all I'm trying to say is this alliance is 60 or 70% players from TA who started in the beta. They don't know anything about BDO. And then the NK players that we have here are new players who are recruited from into NK who also don't know anything about BDO. You may see some.
And so again, I'm pausing here because it would have been great, once again, for some screenshots to be shown, right? What accusations is BDO saying? What have they stated? Where's a Discord announcement or a Discord post or an in-game or an alliance mail a DM, anything to reference what they are claiming and how many of them are actually doing it. Is it the management team? Is it the officers? Is it the lead? Or is it just some players that are there? Did it happen on the Discord? Okay, where's the screenshot to show that? That would have been really important to provide here. And because it's not provided, again, it just feels like it's a he said, she said, or kind of a rant or speculative comments that are being made from Hulks. And I'm talking about this objectively as someone who is familiar with some of what is being talked about here, because I did cover some of this, but I have to look at this through the lens of someone who kind of doesn't know anything about the situation. When I'm looking at this video, it would have been easier for me to add a little bit more of my view and opinion on the situation if there was just some supportive evidence that was shown here. And so again, to me, that just would have been nice to be able to see. Okay, the next one here is, let's go to 8:15. So this one, we'll start off like 8:09.
Also gonna talk about this, and NA also never betrayed BDO. So right now BDO is ruining our reputation almost every single season. Like they are telling people that we are the Betrayal Alliance. We don't really know anything about this. So most of my R4 teammates also don't have any information. So I had to do some detective work. One of my teammates sent me a screenshot of someone who played in that Betrayal season almost 2 years ago. So this is a screenshot from a Betrayal video. We're gonna read through it and see the side of the story from the NK and those of the Dragon Fam.
Okay, so here is, I want to go to this first screenshot, right? And let's go to the very beginning for some things that were posted, because he does go through and ask his officer team, you know, and then someone had said like which season. Let's go a little bit forward, and you can see the one that BDO got betrayed. We didn't even in that season with them. I'm assuming that meant we weren't in that season with them. We go forward. I dreamed we matched up after matching against Echo. Heartstopper, I was in workshop all day today. Are you talking about NK Betrayal BDO? For my understanding, NA was created 3 seasons ago by Merge TN and NK. For TA, TA never met BDO before. TA only destroyed BDL Server 5. NA also never betrayed BDO. Someone did provide a screenshot. Oh, look at that. Is that me? That might have been, I can't tell if that was me or not. It kind of looks like me, but I can't tell. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to this one that he's saying is a member from NK at the time who was there. And this is the NK member. It says, you trapped 3 whole servers in one tiny zone. Now, I'm imagining they're referring to Season 1 for Home Kingdom. It could have maybe been Season 2, but it's kind of hard to tell. I'm imagining Season 1 because they're often referring to things that happened in Season 1 between the 2 big forces that landed in BDO's kingdom, which I believe was them and some Asian alliances. You trapped 3 whole servers in one tiny zone, more than 80. Let me see what I had here. Home Kingdom, yeah. You trapped, so more than 80 alliance strongholds in one zone, while the other 3 had 15 max. You trapped several strong alliances like NK, TWB, BLB, BLA, GD, and some others in BL, Burning Lands. You cultivated the revolt of all these players, forcing them to stay in a prison called Burning Lands at the same time that you decided to keep 5 regions, Darlin, Sofrostia, Navola, Kaltia, and Hollandale. Moreover, Darlin, serious, you literally took a zone and prevented people from other servers from joining Darlin and advancing to Forgotten Lands to fight DS and DA, leaving them without a fight for almost 1 month. So, and I think there's a second part to this too as well. Let me double check. Okay, there is. So, right, for 1 month. It's obvious they would get bored. You took away any chance to fight that they had. Moreover, the alliances whose T5s left them went to BD were extremely frustrated when the departure of their whales, so they are being treated with disdain because in addition to being defeated and humiliated by BD, they also went to the side of the enemy and attacked their old alliances. If there's something worse than that, I don't know what it is, and that added to the previous arrest causes a huge revolt in these players. You're lucky if Zone 3 was bigger. They wouldn't have only 5 alliances against you, but 60. So my thing here is that if you're going to show off screenshots, especially in a like he said, she said situation, and you're referring to like history, to me, it's important that you go ask multiple people. And I'm not saying you got to ask everyone, but I would recommend try to look for people that played in those seasons, maybe preferably members of management and players, because you don't want to get any kind of skewed results from what management might be willing to share versus a player who was there. And then go and ask some of the BDO players, like, what was your recollection on what happened in that season? And then compare that to other people's responses that might be on another side. And then you look for commonalities and common denominators between them, and you allow for both sides to be represented instead of what it kind of feels like it's coming off as like a hit piece of, okay, well, because they're saying these things about us, let's go and find screenshots that fit that narrative so we can talk about them in that way. It just doesn't feel, I guess, as genuine as I would really like for it to feel as far as for what Hulks is talking about and the point that he's trying to get across. Okay, so the next one here, let me see if there's another screenshot. Okay, there's a little bit more here. I think he kind of shows 3 pieces to this. If he does, let's see. Yeah, and then here's another one where it says, you reap what you sow, and you sowed revolt in several BL players. I am one of them. My Old Alliance DD got stuck in Burning Lands after you kicked out Sophrostia and Darlin players that got crowded here and had no resource points to collect, generating even more revolt in the players. All this could have been avoided if you followed the plan by everyone, which was released and agreed. That you would go to Sophrostia while the other servers would go to Darlin, Burning Lands, but no. So maybe this actually is KVK and not Home Kingdom, because now it's saying other servers here. But no, you put them in a prison, you created a monster, and now this monster is devouring you. Yeah, so now this kind of feels a little bit more like maybe this could have been season 2. So yeah. Okay, the next one I want to get to is going to be, I think, at 11:45. That's actually coming up. Here we go.
Created a monster, and now this monster is devouring you. So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here, it looks like BDO were the architect of their own betrayal. They broke so many rules that resulted in so many of these alliances coming together to like betray them. Now I went and saw Chisgule betrayal video where he said they had an agreement with Dragon Family and Dragon Family broke it. I can already see how BDO broke all of those agreements from the comments that was made over here. So first of all, they said BDO would go to 1 starting region, but guess what? They decided to go to 2 starting regions, giving themselves a massive advantage over their enemies. So it did not end there. When level 1 passes opened, BDO defeated everybody in Kaltia and pushed all of them into Burning Lands.
So once again, I think there was a good opportunity here for him to take some screenshots and or go and track some screenshots down, or just quote Chisgule in the video for what he said. That would have been a great way to set the foundation up for what he's showing off and for what Hulk is speaking about now. Because without that, again, you either have to go and watch the Chisgule video all the way through. I don't know if he linked that to as well, because he is referencing it. So I would imagine anything that's being referenced here, at least for this particular piece, would be linked if he's not already showing it off. And then, of course, linking it if needed. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at here is going to be 1650, which I thought was very interesting of something for him to say.
Server number 2, we collected a lot of powerful players. We created the TA Alliance. So TA Alliance has been the most dominant alliance in the beta stages. Everybody knows TA. Now we have used many dirty tactics to win as well, and we don't make any excuses for our dirty tactics. We have also used diplomacy to win. We do not deny that. We have no excuses for doing all of that stuff. And then Mr. Daz created a version of BDO. It was called BDL.
So I thought this was interesting, that Hulks came out himself and said that, basically admitting that, yeah, dude, TA looked for some div low, which we know that based on videos that I've covered, where there's only been a few, right, 2 to 3 that I know of at minimum, where TA at the time, just based on who they matched with, took a little bit more of a favored power advantage over, and it just didn't really allow for the most fulfilling seasons to be played out. And we've covered this in previous videos. However, hearing it from someone who was there is massive. I mean, even Sneaky came out and did a video, I think reacting to the one I did where I touched on TA at some point in time and had talked about some of those KVK matchups as well. But to hear this on that we didn't always kind of play legit, genuine, up to par, along with, dirty tactics he mentions, being able to kind of look at things like Diplo wins. Is it nice to hear that there's some level of just transparency and accountability there? Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is from one player. This is not from an officer or from a lead that was there at the time. As often, I would imagine you're probably not going to get people that are going to necessarily admit or be forthcoming in what they're stating. But I just thought that was something, to me, that stood out, again, for those people that are aware of the history. The next one here, let's go to 1750, where he mentions does.
Burning, we won so many people, it was a lot of fun. Now, at that time, the global release was just around the corner. But do you know what started happening? DAS started trying to recruit powerful players from TA to try and take them to BDO. Now, that is what I heard. And then all of a sudden, our R5, Wayne or Ghost, decided to confront DAS about this situation. He did not want DAS continuing to try and recruit the powerful players from TA to try and take to BDO. And then they had like a massive argument. It ended up with DAS deciding to leave the alliance. Now, this argument also opened another Pandora's box. It actually included Meowa in this drama. You guys remember Meowa, right? That YouTuber who quit recently? Meowa was included in this drama. Apparently, Meowa was accused of being a BDO YouTuber. So they said Meowa was a BDO YouTuber and he was gonna be going with DAS. And immediately Meowa got kicked from the alliance. Now, I don't know his side of the story. I don't have the full story. I don't usually like to do.
Okay, so a couple things mentioned here. Number one, DAS trying to recruit top TA players from BDO. I honestly don't think this is that big of a deal to me, because this is something that kind of just happens in any kingdom builder. And you're often going to have people that will just shoot their shot and reach out as a recruiter to any players. And then at that point, the player can either say yes or no, right? It's kind of cut and dry at that time. Now, what could have been, what would obviously be a little bit more of a challenge and would be distasteful, is if you are allied with a kingdom or allied with an alliance and you are trying to, and you are the one who's actively reaching out to your allies players, your allied kingdoms players, or your allied alliances players during an active season, right? And you're trying to do recruiting. I personally find that a little bit distasteful, and to me, it's unbecoming. However, if you are allied with someone and then the season has ended, or it's coming to an end and it's basically done at that point, and you decide, okay, let's go ahead and do some recruiting here, I'm somewhat okay with that. I'm also okay with if players from those alliances that you're allied with or kingdoms reach out to you. That I think is completely okay. But if you're the one who's proactively reaching out while the season is active, when all the fighting and the season is not concluded yet, whether ended or all the fighting is over, yeah, I'm just not a fan of that. That to me just kind of puts a bad taste in someone's mouth. The next one here is Wayne's and DAS argue, DAS leaves BDO, and then mentions, I would have been curious to hear a little bit more about that. So that's kind of a little bit of a thought or path that I guess we can't necessarily go down fully. And then the last one is mentioning Meower, which I thought was interesting, saying that he got kicked for being labeled as a BDO YouTuber. I would have loved to have seen a screenshot from that or someone that was there that can at least confirm that, if that was the case. Because obviously, that would just be speculation unless Meower can confirm that himself, or if someone who was in BDO, maybe a management person or above, or you get multiple people that are like, yeah, this did happen. Okay, the last thing we're going to look at is the screenshot here from Chiz. I think we're going to go to about 23 for this.
To Chisgule video and ask him the following questions. He said, Chiz, what can you say about Hulksden video saying it was BDO who started the diplomacy meta? Now, let me add more to this. In that season, which I believe was 2 or 3 seasons after the global release, BDO went into a KVK with the intention of not having any good fight. They decided to team up with the strongest enemy and called it a recovery season. So they basically destroyed everybody on the map with zero competition to get the dragon. They ended up destroying so many alliances, many players lost their home, many players lost their alliances, they had no places to go. BDO also recruited some of those T5 players from those alliances and they were really pissed off. Now, Chisgule reacted to that video. I made that video 2 days ago, where I pointed out that BDO was one of the first few alliances to use diplomacy meta to win the.
So I just wanted to show you a little bit of that. Let him say a little bit of the intro. We're gonna go to 27, which I think is probably more intense.
All season. As you guys can see here, Chisgule has officially labeled me as a member of a betrayal group because I am associated with some NK members. I don't think it is a crime to recruit players from NK. This guy is causing way too much drama and making the Call of Dragons experience a problem for so many people. Everybody in this alliance is innocent and don't know anything about any betrayal. We have been the pioneers of this game from the beginning. Now, if he's saying we are...
So this comment here from Chiz where he says, the idea that we invented the diplomacy meta is a hilariously inaccurate misrepresentation. As I have said on many occasions, the meta at that particular moment in time was extremely different than the meta today. You could only migrate in people from your season. There were no resources for pet coins and you had to make a call. Is there a worthy opponent here, or do you take the easy win so you can be ready for the hard opponent that is right around the corner? Only a moron would take impossibly difficult seasons many times in a row, yet somehow everyone expects BDO to do this while not doing it themselves. He continues, I will add that it is hilarious and completely unsurprising to me that someone from a group, someone i.e. Chisgule, or sorry, Hulksden, I imagine, from a group that is one of the biggest violators, unless he's referring to this person, Azura, which maybe could be the case too, biggest violators of the betrayal meta would be accusing another group of cheating a favorable situation for themselves. So not only does this represent a misunderstanding of reality, but also truly incredible hypocrisy. Eventually, certain vocal BDO detractors who obviously don't understand how the game works will have to own their lack of understanding and own the fact that they've been wrong this entire time. In the meantime, I can sit comfortably simply pointing out the obvious trends the game is following. Not because I'm some kind of oracle, but because any rock player can see these common sense patterns. So he replies to this, which the comment is, Chiz, what can you say about Hulksden video saying it was BDO who started the diplomacy meta, right? So again, I have to imagine he's referring to Hulks here, referring to NA, which maybe could be referring to NK and TA, who were the groups that merged into or to make NA. So I think the two sides I look at here is one on Hulk's side of where he comes out and says like, yo, Chiz is like ruining the experience here, right? I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I also think that it's a little bit of a stretch, and again, I understand Chiz is saying this in a comment, but to say that it's hilarious and completely unsurprising to me that someone from a group that is one of the biggest violators of the betrayal meta, I mean, obviously Chiz would have to show that as well. Maybe he has in a video, and I just haven't watched it, but, you know, it's hard, obviously, to do that in a comment. I don't believe you can really attach any screenshots there, and maybe he's just going off of his experience. I guess similarly to how Hulk is going off of his experience. So yeah, surely just shots fired on both ends. My view overall, in conclusion for the video, is I just wish that there was some form of supportive evidence that was shown from Hulk. And I'm talking more than, you know, like this screenshot. I think, yeah, okay, there was another one here. I thought there was one at the end. This is like the last moment where he showed something. But I'm talking more of, show us the beginning. Where was the foundation from Home Kingdom to that first KVK? And, you know, what was agreed upon? Can you show us the agreement? Can you show us statements from people that were there that can lend to it? Because otherwise, it just feels like this is a 42-minute rant for the most part. Not entirely, but that's how it comes across to me, objectively speaking. And I just would have loved for him to show some things off that would have allowed for people to see things from either both sides and or just overwhelmingly and convincingly from one side. And that just wasn't shown to me in this video. So again, I am a little disappointed, if not maybe just generally disappointed, because I think that this video could have been more than what it appears to be. And again, I'd love to hear from you. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.